The leaves outside have pretty much fallen off of the trees. The air is cold and brisk, at least where I am, and the decorations have changed in front of homes and in the stores from fall to the winter holidays. So what does that mean to me? It is time to get ready to join in all of the winter holiday festivities, and I don't want to wear what I have worn in the past. So I made not one, but 2 different vintage holiday dresses to wear to all of these different occasions, and that is what I am going to be sharing with you today. So if you are interested in seeing which 2 vintage holiday dresses that I made for this holiday season, please continue to watch. Hello everyone, and thank you so much for stopping by the channel. My name is Talisha, and I also go by CreativiTeeByT, and in today's video I will be sharing two different vintage holiday dresses that I made. Not only will I be sharing these makes, but this was done in collaboration with Rochelle of Rochelle.handmade.designs. For the month of November, Rochelle has been hosting the Vintage Vember, and I will put the hashtag in the screen below so that you can easily find everything. But Vintage Vember is where you pick something to sew and share that is vintage up to the 1970s. So anything beyond the 1970s does not qualify. And this is also my contribution to the hashtag. So like I said, I will link to the hashtag that everyone is using and when sharing their makes in the description box below, and I'll also put it in the screen. And you definitely want to check out the hashtag because there has been some amazing collaborators and contributors that have made some awesome vintage items as well. And like I said, if you look at the hashtag, you will easily find their makes. All right, so let's go ahead and get into these gorgeous dresses that I made this past week. So again, I made 2 dresses, and I was only asked to make 1 garment, but you know me, I cannot make up my mind, so I made 2. The first dress that I made is one that I have partially made before, and I love this make so much, y'all. I just love it. I do not have any of my makes on because I kind of wanted to show you some of the details. I do like to wear my makes when I'm making the video because I just feel like it makes it come together, but I have some details that I did not capture on my video clips that I want to show you up close. So this first dress I call my Poinsettia holiday dress, and I made this dress by using Butterick 6242. It's a 1960s pattern, and I made view B. So the style of this dress is considered a midriff wiggle dress. A wiggle dress is a dress whose hem is narrower than the hips, causing the wearer to walk in short strides with legs close together, producing a sway or wiggle of the hips. And a midriff dress is a dress that exposes the midriff, and this midriff, in my opinion, meets the definition because it clearly gives a statement. I literally screamed after I put this dress on and looked in the mirror because I was so super duper pleased with the final look. The reason why I was so pleased is because my vision of this dress came out perfectly, fabric and all. I initially was like super nervous about how I would look in this view of dress because it's not a fit and flare like the other view. And although I knew that the bodice was going to be fine because I had made the bodice before, I didn't make this skirt view. And I really wasn't sure about how the skirt portion would turn out because the measurements for the hips were not quite the measurements that I sew for myself. They were wider, and I didn't know if it was going to look droopy, you know, all the things. And the style of the skirt overall is just not one that I feel is the most flattering on me, although I do still make this style from time to time and I feel like, you know, it's okay, but I just wasn't 100% comfortable. But I wanted to try it out to see how it would look, and I was so pleasantly surprised. With the outcome. I believe that the details within this skirt construction gave me all of what I needed to have a flattering look, in my opinion, and I didn't have to make any type of alterations whatsoever. So let's quickly talk about the details of this pattern and fabric, and then I will share the next dress, which you don't want to miss out on, because this is a new pattern to us sewists, and that dress turned out amazing as well. So definitely hold tight and stay tuned. So let's go ahead and get into the details of this pattern. This is Butterick 6242, and this is a retro Butterick 1960s dress. This style of dress is considered a midriff wiggle dress, and the pattern description is Mrs. Dress, and it is a pullover dress and has a continuous self-bias binding for the neckline and sleeve hems. It has a battue neckline, 3/4 dolman sleeves, semi-fitted bodice cut on the cross grain, bias gathered cover band with a stay, skirt variations, which is the fit and flare gathered skirt, and then the more straight skirt, and a side zipper. The view A flared skirt is cut on the cross grain and a narrow hem, and the view B has a straight skirt with the back vent. So for the view, obviously, that I made, it's view B that has the straight skirt, and the fabric recommendations are going to be your broadcloth, crepe, wool jersey, so not too many fabric recommendations. The fabric that I use is this beautiful poinsettia floral print with this black background, and it has like hints of gold in there. I purchased this fabric, and let me grab the dress here. This is the fabric, and I'm not sure if you can see like the gold hits, but the gold hints are like the outline of the poinsettias. Just fabulous. I purchased this fabric 2 years ago with plans to make a placenta dress as well. So yes, I have been wanting to make a dress with this fabric for some time, and I was actually going to make the Georgia dress by Mimi G. So I was glad to see that I had enough fabric to actually make this dress when I changed my mind on the pattern. And yeah, so I love this fabric. It has good structure to it, and I purchase this fabric from Joann Fabrics. Now, although I did purchase this from Joann Fabrics a couple of years ago, I did check multiple locations here locally, and this fabric is still in stock and it's still going strong. So if you are digging this fabric and you are digging the way this dress turned out, you can definitely make that purchase. And if I can find the link to this online, I will definitely link to it in the description box below. So yeah, get into this. Okay, I saw the vision early. So the sewing skill level for this pattern is noted as average, and I do agree, because it does involve the installation of a zipper, and it's on the side. There are many gathers, whether you do the gathered skirt or the straight skirt. Lots of gathers. There's back sleeve pleats that I think are super adorable. I didn't get a good picture of that. I may have gotten it in the first dress that I made, and I will actually link to that with the big gathered skirt in the description box below. But let me show you this these back pleats here on the sleeve. I believe you can, yeah, you can see these back sleeves. Look, or back pleats. Look how adorable these are. Now, of course, the pleats will be more noticeable on a solid color fabric, so I do have plans in my future to make one of those. So for the notions, it does call for a 14-inch all-purpose zipper, and for me, I did not use the pattern piece to make my own bias tape because time is precious, okay? And I didn't have time for that, okay? I have a big bulk roll of different colored single fold bias tape that I purchased from Amazon, and that is what I use to finish off my hems for this dress. So in the inside you will see bias tape for the hem finishings, and that is what I use. So if you have bias tape, you can do that too, and it will definitely save you time. So for the pattern sizing, The pattern sizing is from size 6 to 22. The size that I cut was a size 20 because that is what I had cut previously. Now I have lost a little weight since I made it the first time. The first time I made it was in March of this year, and I made it for my mother's birthday party, her surprise birthday party. But you know, I did still cut the same size because it was already cut, and I felt like this fit me perfectly. I felt like it was a little bit more snug in the belly area the first time I made it. It wasn't a deal breaker, but I do like this fit, you know, which was just a few pounds, but it made a difference. And the finished bust measurement for size 20 is 46.5, and my bust is a 45-inch even, and I feel like I said that it was perfect. And the finished bust measurements are not on the pattern, so you're definitely going to have to look at the pattern piece to get that information. Now for the pattern pieces, I'm not going to list the pattern pieces for the sake of this video. I believe I talked about it in my other video that I made when I made this dress for my mother's birthday party. So like I said, I will link that in the description box below, and you can look at that, and I will also plan to make a blog post so you can look at that as well. So does this dress look like the photos? Absolutely. It looks like the pattern cover, the little cartoon lady. It does. And the instructions were, for the most part, easy to follow. The bodice was easy to follow, no issues at all. But when it came to that skirt vent section, absolutely confusing. It made no sense to me whatsoever. Like, well, maybe the beginning portion of it, but a lot of it didn't make any sense. And I didn't know what to do because I don't make skirts like this with vents often. I think I've only made it one other time, and I had to look it up as well. So because I didn't know what to do, I looked up a sewing tutorial on this pattern, and I found a few. So I clicked on this one, and she was making the same exact view, and I just watched what she did. And so a lot of times after I'm confused about something, I'll go back and look to see, you know, if it kind of like reminded me of maybe a step that I could have possibly missed while reading it. No, it did not. What she did was her own thing, and I just followed what she did, and it worked. And so I'll show you what that vent looks like. But this here is the vent here. Here's my, where is it at, my stitching, where you stitch across to reinforce. I bring it back, and it's stitched down, and there's my hem right here, and this is the other side, and this is the hem. So if that makes sense. So when it flaps up, you do get some exposed fabric on this side. That's the right side of the fabric, and it overlaps. And that's the hem. So again, it worked. So I just went with that, and I'm okay with it. So what did I particularly like about the pattern? I love the design of the dress, obviously, or I would not have made it a second time. I really love that rouging at the cummerbund. It's so super flattering, especially for people like me who has a trouble area right there. And so love that. The dolman sleeves and the batu neckline is like so bomb to me. Love it. Were there any dislikes? There was no dislike in general, outside of just having those blah instructions for the straight skirt vent. I didn't learn any new techniques. Of course, this was not my first time experience, but as far as alter ranges or changes, yes, you know, I use bias tape instead of making my own bias tape for the neckline, and for the hem, where that vent was, I just used the other tutorials instructions because I couldn't understand what was going on in the instruction guide. But the other thing that I did was, that was a little bit of an alteration, is I don't like hand stitching. So at the bottom of my dress and my hem, I did use the heat and bond for my hem because I didn't want the stitches to show, and I don't like hand stitching. So that was another change. And one other thing is I cut my entire dress on the cross grain. minus the cummerbund. I cut that on the bias, and the reason why I cut the entire dress on the cross grain is because my fabric is directional, and I didn't want that to look funny, you know, after having to cut the bodice out on the cross grain. But I would definitely recommend this to others. Absolutely, this is such a great pattern, but keep in mind that it's not a one-day type of make. There are many steps. There's pleats, front darts, you know, gathers, and just all types of things going on here. Bias tape does take a little bit of time when you're pinning it on, then stitching it down, and then under stitching, and then top stitching. You know, it's just some things that go along with it, but it's definitely worth the make. So if you have a few days and you want to break it up, this is definitely a dress for, you know, that I would suggest that you to make. This pattern came out in 2015, but it is still available and going strong on the Simplicity website. You can also purchase this in stores at your local Joann Fabrics and Hobby Lobby. I paired my dress with my gold accessories and my black heels, my Fascinator, which I will link below, and my gloves. And yeah, I had all types of fun with this dress. All right, so that is dress number 1, and let's go on to dress number 2. All right, so on to this next amazing dress that I made. This is a new release vintage pattern, and I also love this so super duper much. I call this my Christmas tree dress, and I made this by using Simplicity 9845, and this is also a 1960s pattern, and I made view 1. Back in the 1960s, many of these A-line dresses would be one color, but often had a different color or color on the top and bottom, making it look like a skirt set. I was so super excited about this dress after I tried it on. First of all, this dress is green, which is my favorite color. Second of all, it's just super classy, and it's very comfortable and easy to wear. The other dress is too, but this has like fewer lines and things like that. Now, I initially was super nervous about how I was going to look in this dress because the finished measurements were like to the T with my bust and my waist, and I don't have a small belly, and I wasn't sure if the dress was going to be like too tight in that area and show that in a way that I just did not want it to show. And you know, the next size up I felt like would have been a little bit too baggy or too big. At the end, I do feel like it worked out fine. I feel like it looks amazing. I do still see, like, you know, that my troubled area. It's not perfect, but I don't feel like it looks so bad like somebody's gonna say, oh, she need to take that dress off. You know, so I do still feel like it looks okay, but if it was a little bit looser in my stomach area, I'd be a little bit more comfortable, and I just didn't account for it. So let's quickly talk about the details of this pattern and fabric, and then I will go ahead and close out on this video. This pattern is Simplicity 9845, and this is a vintage pattern reproduction 1960s dress. Again, the style of this dress is considered an A-line dress, which was the most common style in the 1960s, and it's still very pretty common today, in my opinion. The description of this dress is that it is a 1960s jiffy dress with 3 main pattern pieces. Simple to sew collarless A-line dress has raglan sleeves, back zipper, extended neckline, optional front and back waistline darts, and purchase or ribbon belt worn either above or below normal waistline. View 1 and 2 are regular length. View 3 is above knee length. View 1 has about wrist length sleeves. Views 2 and 3 have short sleeves. Authentic vintage reproduction includes additional sizes and cutting layouts. So the view that I made is view 1, which has the longest sleeves, and it also has the longest length. The fabric recommendations, there were like a ton of fabric recommendations, so I just say you visit the website. But it was like almost every fabric you can think of, just about they named. The fabric that I use is this beautiful soft and thick brush cotton that is perfect for this weather, that I purchased from Joann Fabrics, and you can also find this in like the platitude section. because it's thick like that. Love it. The sewing skill level is noted as very easy, and it is, but don't let the name Jiffy fool you on this pattern. Don't let it deceive you, because it does take some time to make this pattern. I was corrected by my mother that Jiffy was just a brand, and it did not mean that your make was going to be made in a jiffy. And she told me that I needed to calm down because I was complaining about the amount of steps that this pattern has. So while it didn't take forever, while it didn't have very many pattern pieces, I just thought that it could have been made a lot faster. But oh well, you know. So for the notions, you need a 22-inch all-purpose zipper, bias tape, and 2 yards of ribbon for an optional belt if you prefer the optional belt. The pattern sizing comes in size 8 to 26, and the size that I cut was an 18, and I have not cut an 18 in a long time. I could have probably used a 20 at the waist area. The 18 was perfect for the bust. It was a little tight on the waist, and then the flare out, you know, it's a flare out, so I didn't need extra for that, but I could have used a little bit in the waist area. So for the pattern pieces, like I said, you only have 3, which is the front, back, and sleeves. Does it look like the photo? I believe it does. You could be the judge, but I definitely feel like I accomplished the look, and the instructions were easy to follow. Like I said, there were a lot of steps, but they were easy to follow. With this being a vintage reproduction type of pattern, they do look different from your normal everyday patterns, but it was fine. What I loved about this particular dress is I love the design of the dress in general. So chic and clean. I like the raglan sleeves, the neckline, and you know, just the whole look. What did I dislike about the pattern? I feel like the neckline doesn't hold its shape, and I used a much thicker fabric than most people probably would, because this brushed, I mean, it's super thick. I mean, you may not, well, the green is kind of blending in, but it's super thick, if you can see that, and it just didn't hold its shape. So if I had made this in a regular cotton fabric or some other type of fabric, I know that this neckline would have been flopping all over the place. When I put my chin down and it hit my chin, it had an indent for my chin. And in my mind, I was thinking when I first purchased this that I would probably have to put some type of interfacing on it, because this neckline is very similar, but it's supposed to have like a dip in here. But I even feel like I should have put some kind of lightweight interfacing on here. Like, these patterns are telling you the neckline is going to do this, and they suggest all these fabrics. But, I mean, the truth be told, it needs interfacing. And mine will be okay if I allowed it to stay like this because of the thickness of the fabric. But like I said, if it wasn't this thick, it'd be flopping all over the place. The pattern does not call for interfacing. But like I said, trust me, you'll need it. So definitely put some interfacing in the neckline area when you make this, you know, above and below the line, the fold line, you know, and it'll be covered when it folds, so you won't see it. And there are markings for that, for you to transfer from your pattern onto your actual fabric. But I would definitely make sure the interfacing was on that. And because I only tack mine down at the neckline and at the seams or whatever, I will be able to insert some fusible interfacing down to hold the shape, you know, when I wear it later. And I'm definitely going to be doing that so that I don't have to keep readjusting it. So definitely take that on, like, don't just not do it. Definitely take note to that. But I didn't learn any new techniques. I didn't have any first time experiences. But as far as alterations, yes, this dress was much longer than what I expected it to be. So I did take off 2 inches. But when you look at the model on the pattern cover, this view is above the knees, and this is not above the knees, which is fine, because for the winter time I didn't really want to have some high dress, you know, very above the knee type dress or whatever. I like the length that it is. I feel like it makes it look even classier. But definitely want to read those measurements. I didn't read it, I just kind of went off of what the model was looking like. But I would definitely recommend this to others. Such a great pattern and a good look. This pattern just came out for the winter collection of 2023 from Simplicity, and it is still available on the Simplicity website and in Joann Fabrics and in Hobby Lobby. I paired my dress with my gold and green brooch that I put on the front. So that is not a necklace, that's a brooch. I had on my gold earrings, and for my heels I wore my gold metallic-y heels that are actually my wedding dress shoes. Those are the shoes that I wore on my wedding day. So it was fun being able to pull those out and wear those for this photo. So there you have it, my vintage holiday dress collection for 2023. What are your thoughts about these gorgeous dresses? If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and let me know which dress from this that you like the most and which one you can see yourself wearing. Please remember that I will have links to full detailed pattern reviews in the description box below if you would like more information on these patterns. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already so that you can be notified of future videos. Thank you to all of my new and returning subscribers for your support, and I will see you in the next video, which will be real soon. Bye!